Marcia Myers, that was an unbelievably generous, kind, amazing introduction. I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank you all for being here, including the people who I can't really see up there. If I could, I would gather up these microphones like a bouquet of flowers and pace with them, but there just seem to be too many to do that with. So, hi. And the people in the basement, although I will refrain from running down to the basement and saying hello to them, but hi, in the basement. We all say hi. Very nice. You are here with us. Now, Marcia was kind enough to quote some of the nice things that people have said about this book. Don't be fooled. They've also said some terribly nasty things. One of the things I'm accused of at times among, conspiracy theorists, et cetera, I'm sometimes accused of preaching to the choir. Never has it been quite so literal. I actually have my back to the choir. I can tell it's going to be a very special evening. I want to thank all the volunteers who filled this space. These spaces do not fill themselves. I know this well. And of course, the Economic Justice Action Group, KBOO Radio, Powell's. Thank you all. It's wonderful to be at the heart of Portland's legendary progressive community. Thank you for all the work that you have done over the years in keeping up this fight. It is a revolutionary moment. There are moments when it feels less so, and Portland keeps on keeping on, which we appreciate. My husband, Avi Lewis, is here, my partner who directed the film The Take, and he is a major part of my support system. I also have, actually have my whole support system here tonight because my research assistant, Deborah Levy, is an Oregonian. She lives in Eugene. She used to live in Portland. We've been working together since No Logo. Actually, Debbie wrote me an incredible letter. Actually, she was at the time just dating her now husband, Kal Yamada, who is a high school teacher here in Oregon, and Debbie is a librarian in the much beleaguered Oregon librarian system. And at the time, they were just a couple of activists, of what they used to call anti-globalization activists. And they wrote me a letter after reading No Logo about getting tear gassed and beaten up by the Portland police. And it was a great letter. And we started working together. And I've been blessed to work with Debbie all these years since then, now going on 7 years. And she was my intellectual partner in producing this book and worked on it as hard as I did and continues to work on the book. Since the book went to the printer, what Debbie's been doing, and as I mentioned, Debbie's a trained librarian, she has been taking the resources, the original source material that's cited in the book, and putting it online. So we have this incredible companion to the book, broken down chapter by chapter, where people who want to read the original documents, whether it's the CIA's declassified torture manuals or coercive interrogation technique manuals, alternative interrogation techniques, whether they want to read Milton Friedman's letters to Augusto Pinochet and Pinochet's letters back, you can read it all on shockdoctrine.org. Yes, thank you. I'm very thrilled to be here with my whole support system, and Debbie is one of yours, so thank you for giving her a warm welcome. Thank you so much. I came here from LA. I was in LA last night doing a public event, and Southern California is still really picking up the pieces from the wildfires. They were under mudslide alert when we left. Some communities were under evacuation. And then we arrived here, turned on the local news, saw images of flooded out areas, and highways that had collapsed, and mudslides, and families that had lost their homes going to emergency shelters. And these are very familiar images to me, because I've spent the past 4 years immersed in disaster zones. And this isn't certainly not as extreme as some of what I've seen, but it is a disaster, and people are living it in the state in real time. And yeah, it does feel very familiar. It reminds me of what I saw in Biloxi, Mississippi after Katrina, or New Orleans after Katrina, or Sri Lanka after the tsunami. So we are going to be talking about disasters tonight. We're going to be talking about disaster capitalism. And it seems to me that it is only appropriate for us to begin this discussion by thinking about these disasters unfolding in this region, in other parts of the country, around the world, whether Tabasco, Mexico, Bangladesh. Oxfam issued a report last week about how the number of these extreme weather events had quadrupled over the past 2 decades. Of course, we rarely talk about the climate change context for these disasters, but it is real and people know it. Think about how, when we see these images, when a community is living through these disasters, what our initial human response is. This is one of the things about doing this research and immersing myself in disaster zones, is that it exposes you to the worst that human beings are capable of, but also the best. Because the initial human response to a disaster is not to exploit it for personal gain. That's not what most people want to do. What most people want to do is they want to help. When they see it on television, far away, they want to help. That was the response to the tsunami. That was the response to Katrina. That's been the response in this state. And inside the communities themselves, as they are living these crises, people help each other. They help their neighbors. This is one of the great lies of the response in New Orleans to Katrina. All we heard about was the looting. And people were so outraged about that when we were there, because in fact there were just hundreds, thousands of stories of the communities coming together and people risking their lives to save each other. And that's what people want to do. And when you go to talk to people who have just lost so much, what they want to do is they want to pick up the pieces, and they want to repair. And they also want to do better. They want to build something better than what they had before. But the idea that they can't participate in these decisions because they're somehow too traumatized or too victimized is a myth. In fact, people show incredible